back to me reading Transported, a Wings of Fire story. This time, it's chapter 30. As usual, if this is your first time watching this little series, I recommend you to watch the previous chapters or read them yourself. Now let's begin. This chapter's name is Groundhog Day. Turtle opened his weary eyes before yawning and getting off the ground. He had earlier woken Winter up to send him off with Daniel and Star to follow what they described as a tracker, and that it could give them a lead on how to stop the troubling prophecy from happening. When he awoke, he expected to find Ghibli, Moon, and King Jaw awake, but no. Instead, he found himself on cool stone floors. What? Where am I? Turtle thought, as he looked around and gathered his bearings. He realized he was in his sleeping cave, back at school. His face fell into deep confusion as he finally entered the familiar open corridors. Analyzing his surroundings, a thought came to Turtle's mind. Wait, what if the others are here too? If so, did someone kidnap us? Turtle walked down the open corridor. The holes in the walls acted like windows and let what appeared to be the late morning sun shine through. Turning the corner into Moon's cave, he found Pearl and Winter setting up some of his enchanted fireproof playing cards. Oh, hey, Turtle. How's it going? Pearl said happily. She placed the cards face down and dealt some to Winter. Moon was also in the cave. Oh, though she wasn't playing. She was in the back, reading a scroll. How odd. Isn't this exactly what happened the day we met Hurricane? Suddenly, however, Turtle's heart rate skyrocketed when he remembered Moon could read minds. His hand instinctively reached for the Skyfire rock on his bracelet, which earned him an odd glance from Winter, who was watching him. You all right? You look like you just saw a ghost, he said, tilting his head to the side. Pearl and Moon also glanced up as they heard this. They were about to say something, but Turtle quickly shut it down. I'm fine. Just felt a bug on my scales. Turtle lied. I'm fine. He stared back at Moon, who was looking intently at him. She must be trying to read my mind. Thank Moon for Skyfire. Hey, Moon, what are you reading about? Turtle asked cautiously. Casually, not cautiously. Though there was a deeper meaning behind his words. If I remember correctly, Moon was reading a scroll about ancient dragon tribes that day. So if she's reading the same scroll, then something's up. He awaited a response quietly. Moon tried to break into his mind for a few more seconds before she gave up. Oh, this? It's just a scroll on dragons. Nothing you'd probably be interested in. She responded before burning? B-U-R-N-I-N-G. Burning her head. Oh boy. We love typos to make us laugh. Before burning her head into the scroll again. Can I take a look at that? Can I take a look at it? Turtle asked, refusing to give up his theory. Moon shot him an odd look. Really? Normally you're not interested in these sorts of scrolls. Pearl and Winter also shot him odd glances. Are you sure you're feeling all right, Turtle? Pearl asked. Turtle sighed deeply. Yes, I'm sure. I'm just feeling like reading today for some reason. He shrugged to make his act look real, though he was actually lying and only wanted to read to see if it was the same scroll. The rest of the dragons in the cave exchanged worrying glances. Well, I don't see why not. Here you go, Moon said as she handed the scroll to Turtle. He opened it up and started reading. Moon looked at his eyes as they darted from line to line. Soon, however, he found the title he was looking for. There it was, the title clear as day. Ancient Dragon Tribes and Figures from Before the Scorching. Turtle half smiled, as it proved he was right. This was just a repeat of the day they met Hurricane. Although, soon something caught his eye. There was a list of extinct dragons which ruled over the land once upon a time, each of which had brief descriptions. But there was one which stood out. Ruin. Redwing. The image of was a skywing. The image was of a skywing. There wasn't much info on the ancient figure, surprisingly, but from what Turtle gathered, it appeared this ruined Redwing was a sort of godly figure to the skywings. Or at least it used to be, because he must have gotten lost in history after many years, Turtle realized. He kept reading. There was a basic description of what he looked like, however. It was not stated that it is unknown whether Red Ring was a real dragon or not. But just as he finished reading, his heart rate increased. Below the small description lay one line. Though it is unknown whether Redwing really existed, it was rumored that he was a dragon so fast, one could say he had the potential to rule the skies above. Turtle's mind spun as he realized that the prophecy might relate to this ruined Redwing. And as such, he needed to get as much information on him right away. He looked back to Moon, who was waiting patiently for the scroll to be returned to her. Knowing that he couldn't run off, as it would be really out of the ordinary, I handed it back to her. Oh boy, we love typos, they make us laugh. I handed it back to her. Thanks, he said, shooting her a cheerful smile. Turtle could see Moon was still puzzled, but she smiled back, nonetheless. Anytime. All right, well, I'm going to head off now, Turtle announced to the rest of the dragons in the cave. Oh, man, come on. I was just about to deal out the cards so we could all play, Pearl said. Sorry, maybe next time. I got something I need to check out. He replied, comma, the others. Yeah, that makes sense. He replied, the others shot him one last odd glance before he walked out of the cave and down towards the main entrance to the school. As he was walking, he spotted a small dark Nightwing speaking to a much larger, bright red Skywing, which he immediately recognized. That's Hurricane, though I thought he arrived a little later. He stood there, watching from afar, for a little while before he remembered. All right, he did mention speaking to this Fate Speaker before he met him. As he continued to watch him, he saw Tsunami enter the conversation and properly welcome Hurricane to the school. It was around this moment that he and Moon met Hurricane for the first time. I mean, I guess I could go and introduce myself again. Turtle waited for another few minutes until Tsunami started to walk his way. At this point, he would have been by the main entrance as he watched them walk away. But now he was on the other side of it. Once Tsunami got close enough, he stepped into view in front of them, trying to act like he wasn't just stalking them for a few seconds ago. Tsunami jumped back, slightly startled by Turtle's sudden appearance. Oh, hey, Tsunami, how's it going? Turtle said casually. He glanced over to Hurricane, who was chilling by Tsunami's side, though the look on his face said that he already knew who Turtle was. Ah, hey, Turtle, Tsunami said, trying to keep her principal-like composure. I was just on the way to your cave to introduce you to your new clawmate. She gestured to Hurricane next to her. Oh, cool. Should be nice to meet you, Turtle said enthusiastically, and pretended to not already know who he was. Hurricane nodded. You too. Tsunami looked down at the two dragonettes. Well, it appears you two are getting along great. I'll leave you to walk. I got to break the news to the rest of the ringlet. And with that, she walked off, leaving Hurricane and Turtle to talk alone. So, Hurricane started, but was cut off when Turtle interrupted. Look here, Hurricane. Don't play dumb. I already know you know a lot about me. Hurricane's eyes shone up quickly, but soon his face fell to a sort of neutral. All right then, Turtle. How do you know? Did you use your powers to scan me or something? Let's just say we're closer than you think, Turtle said cryptically, as he shot Hurricane a significant glance. Hurricane looked back with puzzled eyes. What do you mean by closer? He tilted his head to the side and thought for a moment. Turtle shrugged. You'll just have to figure it out yourself. He started to walk off with a smirk on his face. Nobody had been able to confuse Hurricane that much so it was sort of entertaining, to be honest. Hey, wait up! He felt talon steps behind him as Hurricane caught up. I'm serious. What do you mean we're closer than I think? Have we met before? Turtle sighed. Follow me. He didn't wait for a response before he started walking down towards the main entrance and making a sharp left. Continuing his walk, he ignored all of Hurricane's protests and discussion attempts as he made his way through the small caves and cracks of the mountain to the underground lake. Whoa, I never imagined it was like this. Turtle heard Hurricane whisper to himself. It was almost like he had heard of this place before. Odd. All right, now you can ask your question, Turtle said to Hurricane, who snapped his head towards him. Okay, well, first things first, how do you know I know a lot about you and this place? I already told you. We're a lot closer than you think, Turtle responded. Hurricane sighed. Okay, then please elaborate on what you mean by that. Huh? Then please elaborate on what you mean by that. We love typos that make us laugh. Then please elaborate on what you mean by that. It means we're more than just strangers. Yeah, I got that, but the question is how? He made a talon gesture and emphasized the word how. Have we met before? I guess you can say that. Turtle shrugged. He walked away and dived into the lake. He swam underneath the surface for a little while before re-emerging and floating calmly on the top. The roof of the lake was filled with gleaming stalactites, and a large open hole allowed for the sun to shine through. Turtle sighed happily as he felt the warm sunshine and cool water warp around his scales. Though a few moments later, Hurricane interjected. Okay, enough with the cryptic prophecy shenanigans. Hurricane spat. What exactly do you know about me? Turtle looked in his direction to see his face. Hurricane glared at him. He was done playing around. He wanted answers. Turtle, he spoke in a soft yet dangerous voice. Tell me the truth. What do you know about me? Turtle stayed silent as he nervously shrunk back into the water. Well, I don't know that much about you personally. It's just that I know that you know a lot about us. Hurricane tilted his head slightly as he processed what Turtle said. Okay. Do the others know then? Yes and no, Turtle responded, not sure how to promptly answer that question. Hurricane shot Turtle an are you kidding me look. Wow, that clears things up for me. Thank you, he said sarcastically. Look, do you know about me not being a dragon? Turtle snapped his head towards him. What? He turned to look at his friend to make sure he heard that correctly. What does he mean by not being a dragon? However, he wouldn't get the chance to ask him because Hurricane was gone. He was alone in an empty underground lake and no explanation of how. He was confused. He didn't know what just happened, though he didn't ponder. Soon, a small crack in the wall appeared, and a soft cyan blue light shone through it. What is that? I don't remember this being in Jade Mountain. Turtle gone up out of the lake. Water pellets dripping off of his scales. He walked towards the crack in the wall, but stopped dead in his tracks. Should I really be doing this? What if this leads me somewhere I can't get out of? He stared nervously at the crack, uncertain about continuing. Then he remembered and immediately felt like an idiot. Oh, wait, I'm an animus. I can just magic my way out of it. He gave himself a respective facepalm. Well, here goes nothing. Slowly, he put one arm through the crack, then another. It was a tight squeeze. Wait, arms? Dragons are quadrupeds. They got legs. Legs, claws, and talons. They don't got arms. My immersion is destroyed. Joke aside, let's continue. Slowly, he put one arm through the crack, then another. It was a tight squeeze, but eventually, his whole body fit through, and then popped out of the other side. However, he couldn't believe his eyes at what he saw. He was back home, back in the summer palace. Turtle looked around at the place he'd known for so long. However, that's when he noticed it. A dark, pitch-black dragon with a wide, white smile. It stood about 20 or so meters away from him. When it spoke, it was like it was right behind him. Well, 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 welcome home, Turtle. The figure threw what Turtle saw to be a serrated-like blade at him. His eyes shot up as he ducked underneath it to successfully keep his head attached to his body. He looked back at the wall behind him. A large, shiny blade was lodged in the wall. On one side, it was deeply serrated, with arrow-like gaps, able to catch onto things, and with enough force, could break them in half. The other side of the blade was smooth and sharp, honed to perfection, easily sharp enough to slice through scales with ease, Turtle realized. His heart rate increased dramatically as he finished studying the weapon. In the hands of a well-trained dragon, this could be deadly. Maybe I should keep hold of it. Turtle reached out to grab it. Oh boy, we love typos here that make us laugh. Turtle reached out to grab it. Once he placed his talon around the weapon, he realized it was a mistake. There was a sudden flash of bright light. Turtle couldn't see anything, but all he felt was agony, internal pain. He didn't know what it felt like. He didn't know what, but it felt like something was logged in his eyes and mouth, squirming its way through his body. It was like his eyes had been taken out of his body and then placed back in their sockets, while his throat burned. Soon, cryptic voices began to whirl around in his brain as his mind succumbed to the unknown torture it was being put through. The voices were loud in his mind. They appeared to be coming from everywhere, and they all repeated the same phrase over and over. All hail the gatekeeper. Turtle couldn't take it anymore. He needed to get out. With that, with what remained of his sanity and clear thinking, he thought, I enchant myself to escape, whatever this is. The voices in mind circled again, but soon died down. The pain in his eyes and throat left, and he was able to speak again. The blinding light appeared and allowed him to see again. He found himself on the bank of snow, surrounded by his friends who were already awake. He took quick and shallow breaths. What was that? Turtle, you're awake! King Zhao bounded up to him happily. You've been asleep for ages. Were you planning on just skipping today completely? Turtle was speechless, his mind still worrying that what he was seeing wasn't real either. Though that doesn't appear to be the case. This looks normal. He looked up at his girlfriend, who looked down at him oddly. You all right? Turtle nodded. He was about to get up when he found a strange object underneath his talon. His heart rate skipped a beat when he moved it. There it was, the same blade he had seen in his dream. However, that wasn't what scared him the most, as when he picked it up, in the blade's shiny reflection, he saw it. The dark black dragon was standing right behind him. A claw was placed up against the tip of his snout, indicating to Turtle to be quiet. White glowing eyes stared back at him through the blade. Turtle watched as the dragon shot him a sinister smile and a small wink before disappearing from the reflection. And that is the end of this chapter. Besides the usual note at the very bottom. Hello, beautiful people, and I thank you for waiting such a long time for this update. I've been writing less recently, cause I've been going back through earlier chapters to fix my grammar and spelling typos. Hopefully, you enjoyed this chapter. I'll see what I can do about getting the next one out soon. Open parentheses. Though, that will probably be at least a week from now. Close parentheses. All right. Adios. So, Turtle. That little piece of little drop of clue that Daniel, that hurricane, is a human. He also got fucked with by the gatekeeper, and he's got his little weapon now. Other than that, yeah, that's all I got. See you next time.